What is up everyone, and welcome to some more F122 My Team career mode. Last time out we were at the Belgian Grand Prix, and after a difficult qualifying session got rained off, I ended up having to start from P6, and we managed to make a bit of a recovery up the grid. We undercut a few drivers on strategy, made our way up into P4, and then Alex Albon, our teammate, had an unfortunate retirement which promoted us into third place, and that was where we ended up finishing. This time we're going to be at the Dutch Grand Prix, and I have to say I'm looking forward to this one. It's where I took my first career win back in Season 2, and I'm also someone who's won here on another occasion. I believe it was Season 5 actually, the previous season. We're currently in Season 6. Yeah, I won here again thanks to a little bit of luck and a little bit of good fortune, but yeah, by no means an easy track. I do tend to struggle here quite a lot around particularly the second sector, and so I don't think it's going to be easy to repeat the feat that we had here in Season 2 and what I believe is Season 5. I think it's really going to be dependent on whether or not we get a good qualifying first of all, and also how fast the cars around us are as well, of course. You know, if people are a lot faster than me through Sector 2, that could really compromise our entire race potentially. You know, so I think I need to, like I said, have a good qualifying, and what better way to start that than a P2 in Practice 1. We just behind our teammate Alex Albon, so I'm pretty happy with that. Seems like we're already on the pace as we move through practice, and hopefully we can you know, repeat this in qualifying as well. That would be the ideal scenario. I can only hope that that yeah, qualifying goes as well as it's been going for me recently. Obviously, it was a bit of an anomaly in Belgium because of the rain, and I actually think that, yeah, you can see that there is going to be a little bit of rain for this qualifying session as well. So might not be completely smooth sailing for us, but yeah, otherwise I've had a number of poles recently. I think I had it in France and Britain and also in Hungary actually as well. So yeah, 3 of the last 4 races, Belgium being the first one that I didn't get pole in the last 4 races. Yeah, pretty good going. Qualifying been a real strong suit of mine this season, more so than the race, I would say, especially with the struggles we've had with reliability and things like that. We have been, you know, looking pretty good otherwise, but struggling a little bit to bring the car home in the races where I've been finishing. Alex Albon has usually been suffering from some kind of mechanical failure, and vice versa. We've had 8 DNFs between the two of us over the course of the season, and this is race number 14 now. But anyway, we're into Q1 now. We did a 1:10.4 to kick things off, and I actually went out again on the same set of tyres. I didn't feel like this warranted 2 sets of tyres, so I only improved by about a tenth or so. But in the end, it was good enough to see us through in P9. Was there more pace on the table? Absolutely. If we'd have gone out on a fresh set, then maybe things would have been different. But I just wanted to conserve as many sets of softs as I possibly could. Meant we were 7 tenths down on our teammate, and you know, a lot of improvement that could be made. But you know, it was all we needed to get through to Q2. So I'm pretty happy with that. And hopefully we can make it through to Q3. But I think the rain will be en route pretty soon. And you're about to find out as we move into the lap that it actually started raining while I was doing my run on the softs. So we're going to see where I end up. But one thing is for certain, we are not going to be out, because there are still cars in the pit lane, and there were quite a few cars in the pit lane that had yet to leave when I started this lap. So those surely are going to be out if anyone's out of this session. And yeah, the rain came down harder, so I didn't have to go out again. We made it through in P2 with Albon in P1. But yeah, a very weird selection of drivers eliminated there. Leclerc, Norris and Gasly, all of whom are still in a championship hunt in my opinion, all eliminated. And they're, you know, inferior teammates at this point. And you probably think it's weird me saying that Verstappen is inferior to Gasly, but at least in the drivers' standings, it's Gasly who is looking like he's mounting a championship challenge, and Verstappen is kind of not really anywhere. So the number 2 driver at each of these teams is the one who is through to Q3. And yeah, Leclerc, Norris and Gasly, all of whom could still theoretically been with a chance of winning the championship, looking a little bit less like they might win the championship now as a result of that session. But we move now into 3, and it's full wet conditions now. We do a 1:21.6 to kick things off, which is over 10 seconds slower than the time that we set in Q1. And I actually thought that the track was drying up slightly, so I thought to myself, why not try and go for another run on these wet compound tyres and see if we can make anything work as a result of it. And in the end we improved by a little bit here and there, but it's not really the most impressive lap I've ever done. You can see that the improvement is only a matter of about a tenth or so in the end. It's, you know, far from the kind of pace that you would expect on a drying track, where you'd be seeing sort of 5/10 improvements every lap or anything like that. So we make a small improvement. The gap to Verstappen is a bit more comfortable now, but if the track is drying out, we will have to go again. Maybe even on a set of intermediates if the track requires that, which it does. And you can see as I come into the final sector of my final flying lap of qualifying, I'm up by quite a big margin as well. We've done 2 purple sectors. We were the last car on track, as I often am in these scenarios, and that has meant that we've got a lot of room for improvement here. I think we're going to improve by about 2 seconds up to the line actually, and I won't know until I cross the line whether this is pole or not. You know, we don't know what kind of time the people in first have done, but we crossed the line, and in the end it was good enough for pole position. So yeah, I think the rain actually played into my favour this time, as opposed to in Belgium where it kind of ruined my race. We were able to go out on the drying track after everyone else, and that meant that we could sort of maximise our pace and our lap time, and we got pole by nearly 7/10 of a second. So a little bit unfortunate for the cars around us, but you know, anyone has the potential to go out. I crossed the line with like 15 seconds to go, so theoretically people could have left it later if they'd wanted to do that. But yeah, I take pole position. It's very easy in the end, and yeah, I'm now hoping that I can just lead away at the beginning of the race and hopefully have a pretty comfortable time of things over the course of the Dutch Grand Prix. Obviously, I'm sure that you guys are hoping that there'll be a little bit of action, and I'm hoping for the same actually. I don't want things to go all my way potentially, but maybe something else will make it interesting. Maybe a safety car, maybe some strategy. There's not going to be any weather, I don't think, but I'm sure there will be no shortage of DNFs in the race. There always is DNFs in pretty much every race we do. I can only think of a handful of ones still where every car has finished the race. It's very, very uncommon, especially with the shocking reliability that we've been showcasing this season. But yeah, we will see whether I can convert my pole into a win when we get into the race.
Welcome along then to the North Sea coast and to the Zandvoort circuit. We're 25 miles away from Amsterdam for today's Dutch Grand Prix. It's a race the great Jim Clark won on 4 occasions, leading for an astonishing total of 370 laps. Zandvoort circuit has 14 corners, 10 to the right and 4 to the left, with plenty of steep camber and elevation changes to keep our drivers on their toes throughout the 2.6-mile lap. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. Robinson lines up on pole position, and Max Verstappen lines up alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Sainz, Albon, Fernando Alonso and Oscar Piastri, Ricciardo, Théo Pourchaire, Ocon and Lance Stroll, Leclerc, Norris, Yuki Tsunoda and Gasly, Magnussen, Schwartzman, Guan Yu Zhou and Christian Lundgaard, Fittipaldi, Russell, Latifi and Mick Schumacher. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head down trackside for today's race. Alongside me to discuss all the action today is Natalie Pinkham. Thanks for joining us, Natalie, and tell me, you were down in the pit lane earlier. How do you think the track conditions are today?
Well, the surface looks clean enough, but I'm a little bit worried about the track temperature. It's pretty cool out there, which could give some teams difficulties when it comes to keeping their tyres in the right operating window. The cars out there that work their tyres hard and really put a lot of energy through them, well, they'll be the ones that are better off.
Mark has nothing to say on this occasion, and there's no real strategy that we can change to. So we're going to be doing 13 laps on the soft compound tyres, followed by, I think it's 23 on the mediums. and that is a strategy that I'm sure will be similar to that of most of the cars on the grid. It seems like the majority of us are starting on the soft compound tyre, so it shouldn't be too much variation in strategy in this race. Really, it's just going to be dependent on pace. I think the set of softs we're starting on is a used set, so they're not going to last very long before they start losing grip, and I'm sure that the cars around me will probably end up finding a bit more performance in them than I've been able to find, but it remains to be seen what kind of pace we have. But anyway, we're going to get ready to try and get the best start we can as the lights come on and the lights go out, and we do get away well on this occasion, especially compared to the home favourite of Max Verstappen, who's already dropped back by a few tenths. And as we lead through the first corner, it's very comfortable for us. We don't look like we're going to be giving up this position anytime soon. Verstappen falling back into the clutches of Carlos Sainz a little bit, maybe Alex Albon there in P4. I think he's gotten away pretty well, but unfortunately he couldn't make up any of those positions, not on Carlos Sainz on this occasion. I think Carlos Sainz had the outside line, probably squeezed Albon to the inside a little bit there, but it does seem like Albon had a pretty good start. Already, these guys have broken away a second gap to Alonso, and it's only been one sector of racing. So imagine what we could do if if the whole race continues like this. It seems like Alonso just doesn't have the pace to compete with the top four at the moment, but will probably be frustrating Daniel Ricciardo in the much faster McLaren behind him. Obviously, Alonso, the man who came to fill Ricciardo's seat at that Alpine team many years ago at this point, canonically speaking. This is technically set in 2027. So yeah, these guys have not done any team changes for a very long time. In fact, I think McLaren, Ferrari and Alpine are the only teams on the grid now who haven't had any driver changes over the course of these 6 seasons. I could be wrong about that. But yeah, looking very comfortable. Almost broken a second to the home driver of Max Verstappen. But yeah, it's looking like he's closing me down a little bit, at least through this second sector, as was predicted. I did say that that's typically where the AI gets back at me on this track. It's just not a particular point of strength for me. But we do manage to break away from him a little bit in Sector 3, increase the gap to 8 tenths. But now we're going to be in a bit of trouble, I think, because he's going to have the DRS, which means that he'll be able to close me down a bit more in these straights, which kind of neutralises a bit of the advantage I have over him. As we move into the second sector once again, you can see that the gap has come down by about 6 tenths or so as to where it was at times. But we're still about 5 or 6 tenths ahead as we come around the final corner now to the end of lap 3, and yeah, things are looking okay, somewhat comfortable. We're burning a little bit of battery, but not too much, just trying to conserve it as much as we can to make sure that we have enough to fight with if he does come knocking at some point. And we move forward a few laps because nothing really happened for those few laps that we missed out on. And yeah, we come now onto the start of lap 8, and Verstappen is looking very close behind us now. So I think that we are going to have to try and pick up the pace if we can. But the grip is not fantastic on these tyres now. We've been on them for 8 laps already, which is quite a long time to be on a set of soft compound tyres at pretty much any track. Soft compound tyres nowadays don't usually last more than a third of the race distance at a push. So yeah, I think they're starting to go off, and maybe these guys behind me have managed their tyres a little bit better than I have or something. I don't know. Verstappen closing me down a little bit in the DRS zone once again, but not quite enough to make the move happen. And it's looking like he's going to have to wait just a little bit longer to try and get past me if he possibly can. I'm particularly fast on the entry to this hairpin here, but on the exit it seems like these guys get superior traction compared to me and close me down quite a lot. You can see that the gap has come down below 2 tenths now. I was going to say below 3 tenths, but by the time I said the word below, it had already increased by another tenth, or sorry, decreased by another tenth. So yeah, Verstappen looking like he could be potentially challenging for the win here at his home race. But I'm not going to give it to him all his own way, but the grip is so tough. And I go out very wide, miss the apex quite considerably at that corner. He actually tried to send one up the inside when he realised that I'd done that. And that compromised his whole run through this straight, which means that he is now about a second down on me again, and being challenged by Carlos Sainz for that position, which I really don't understand why he would think he wanted to overtake in a spot like that. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's not a conventional overtaking position whatsoever. And yeah, he really would have been better off just waiting, especially if I was going quite slowly through that corner. I would have had a bad exit and he would have been able to get me in the DRS zone. But instead he chose to try and send one up the inside at a hairpin. it was a bit bizarre to me when it happened, but that was the decision that he made, and it's cost him a position. He's now down in P3. He's lost out to Carlos Sainz, and the chance of a home win perhaps slipping away from him there. He tried to gain a position, ended up losing one, and who knows if he's going to have the opportunity to get back past the both of us. Certainly not on this stint. I think he's going to have to wait until he moves on to the medium compound tyre now. We're on to lap 11 now, and I was really struggling for grip on this lap actually. The tyres are getting very worn. You're going to see exactly what the situation with them is like in a minute once I figure out how the buttons on my controller work, because initially I went for the radio, but obviously that's not what I needed in this moment. In the end, I actually think I asked them about Carlos Sainz behind, but nothing of it is particularly important. But you can see that the tyres are almost 60% worn already, and we're not due to be boxing until next lap. I did think about potentially coming in a lap earlier to get off these tyres, but I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to stick to the strategy. They'll be quite worn, but it should be okay. Meanwhile, the rear right tyre is just chilling at 48%, not having too difficult of a time on this occasion, not too much being asked of it, at least not compared to the other tyres. Carlos Sainz looked briefly like he might be going for a little bit of an attack there, but nothing particularly strong. He just decided to back out of the move, unlike Verstappen, and maybe that was the fundamental difference there. But both of us, myself and Albon, staying out, but Sainz and Verstappen coming into the pits for those medium compound tyres, and I wonder what impact that is going to have on the race. We'll find out very shortly as I come into the pits now on lap 13. You can see there are no cameramen blocking my way, and so we're able to get into the pits safely, and we're going to be fitting a set of medium compound tyres to the end of the race, and hopefully we'll come out ahead of Sainz and Verstappen, but I think it's going to be quite close with them. And even if I do come out ahead, obviously these tyres are going to be freezing cold on the exit of the pits, which means I'm going to be really struggling for grip for at least the first sort of couple of sectors of the lap, I would say. And sector 2, like I've said, is the one where these guys are faster than me, so I might not have it all my way. It might be quite difficult. You can see that I did come out just ahead of Sainz, about 0.3 or so, and he's closing me down quite a lot as we enter the second sector now, and I don't have the grip at the moment. The tyres are still warming up, so it's going to be very scary on this lap, I think, to see if he tries and sizes up a move on us, maybe in an overtaking position that is not particularly conventional, but it looks like he's not going for it. I think we might have just held on to this for now, and in the end staying out was the correct decision. I think the overcut is very, very powerful in this game, and we've known that the whole time because of the tyre warm up. The overcut is something that is definitely a viable strategy, and for that reason, I'm actually quite excited to see where Alex Albon comes out of the pits. You can see that Verstappen was about 2.5 seconds down on me when I exited the pits. He's now come to 1.5 seconds, but I think there is a good chance that Alex Albon could potentially come out of the pits ahead of Max Verstappen here. We'll see. It's going to be very close with him on the exit, actually. I think I'm just about going to get ahead of him, but he is going to coolly slot into P2 between myself and Carlos Sainz, and that is how we have managed to move into 1-2 in this race, having started first and fourth. Albon has made up both positions, and now as we move on to the start of lap 19, you can see that the DRS has been broken to Carlos Sainz behind, and it's just a straight fight between the two of us, the two championship leaders, for the race win. He has closed me down quite a little bit. I initially broke away from him, obviously, when he was warming up the tyres, but he's very close behind me now and starting to pile on the pressure a little bit. He's not going for any moves thus far, but I definitely will have to look at my mirrors, make sure that I don't get too complacent in this race, because I could definitely see Alex Albon sneaking a move on me, much like he did in Hungary when I started on pole. Obviously, I was pace-wise nowhere compared to him, at least until my car gave out on lap 22 of 35 in that race. But we're looking like the gap might be a tiny bit more comfortable now as we start lap 22. I've extended it a little bit. He only came within sort of 0.4 in the braking zone of turn 1, which is a little bit nicer. But it's still, a lot could happen. 14 laps to go, and he's making no signs that he's backing off. Meanwhile, Sainz and Verstappen do look like they're backing off a little bit. I think on this second stint, it looks like us in the Jaguars just have a tiny bit more pace than the guys behind us. Alonso still holding his own in P5. It's very impressive in a car that is the slowest car on the grid, that he is able to hold on to that position. So we'll see if he can come home with double digits worth of points. But yeah, we're looking good for a 1-2 at the moment. Now we switch to an Aston Martin driver, Canadian pay driver. Obviously that doesn't narrow it down that Stroll and Latifi are both at the team. This is in fact Nicholas Latifi we're looking at. And yeah, I don't know what's going on there. I guess some kind of engine failure or something like that. Pretty par for the course that this happens to at least a few people in the race. Unfortunate for Nicholas Latifi, but I don't think he was running in a particularly strong position. I think he was sort of 21st or something like that, so I don't think he's going to be too disappointed. But someone who is going to be disappointed is this man, Fernando Alonso, who is running in P5 in what is currently the worst car on the grid performance-wise, and that is his engine giving out as well, as it so often did in real life last season for Alonso at the Alpine. Disappointing for him, he drops out of the fight and Ricciardo takes his place in P5. But yeah, we're still leading the race as we come now onto lap 29, and I think Albon is running out of laps if he wants to make this move happen. He could really use this win as well, because if I win this race and outscore him, I'm going to move outside of what we call DNF range, which is where I can have my car break down in a race and still be ahead of him in the championship. And I'm currently leading it by 22 or 23 points, I think, so I'll be leading by about 28 or 29 points. It will be, yeah, 29 at the moment, I think, because he's got that fastest lap. If I steal it off him, it'll be 31, and there's only 8 races left to go in this season. So, yeah, I think he really is going to want to start getting a few results over on me if he wants to have any chance of getting back into this championship fight. The reliability has hurt us both equally, so he can't even really use that as an excuse. He mounts a bit of a half-hearted attack on me there into turn 1, but nothing too particularly threatening to me. And yeah, I mean, he's really running out of time now. You can see there's only 3 laps left to go in this race as we round the final corner on lap 33. And we get ready to start lap 34. I really just, I don't see how he's going to make this move. The tyres have kind of lost the best of them now. So unless he's kept something in reserve compared to me, maybe he's been not pushing quite as hard or something like that, I don't know. I really don't see a world in which he's going to be able to do this. If he hasn't been able to do it so far, as long as I can continue maintaining a consistent performance, it really doesn't seem like there's any chance he's going to be able to overtake me in this race. And I should be able to comfortably hold on to this lead. The gap to Sainz and Verstappen is so large now, it's not something we need to worry about at all. So it's just a straight fight between myself and Albon. No amount of holding each other up is going to bring these guys back into the championship fight. And now we're approaching some back markers as well, which is going to make Alex Albon's life even more difficult. Obviously, you might remember that Bahrain race where Verstappen and Hamilton were battling one another for the lead of the race. And I think it was Hamilton used the back marker of Giovinazzi to sort of defend his position. He went wheel to wheel with Giovinazzi into turn 4, and that meant that Verstappen couldn't regain the position. So yeah, I don't know if I'll be doing anything quite as crafty as that, but we do get ahead of my former teammate Christian Lundgaard, who is currently riding in last in that Alfa Romeo. And next up is Alonso's teammate, who is having a much worse weekend down in P19. Esteban Ocon really struggling in that Alpine at the moment, I think. Actually coming off the back of a pretty solid race last time out. I can't remember where he finished, but it was not a terrible result by any means. But it looks like he is probably going to try and get out of my way here to make sure that he can do one less lap in this race as we come through this DRS zone. But crucially, he did not get out of the way of Alex Albon. If you look on the minimap there, you can see that he has blocked off Alex Albon there. The gap has increased to over a second, and that has ruined any chance Albon might have had of winning this race, or of contending with me at all in this race for that matter. And that means that we are going to come up to the line and win it very comfortably. We weren't really challenged by anyone all race, and yeah, I think this is my 7th race win of the season now in 14 races. That is very good going. So yeah, the championship challenge is very alive and well right now.
Well, that might not have been the finest race in history, but there's no question it was a critical win. Natalie Pinkham, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
I think that smart tyre management on track and very smooth driving definitely assisted in their victory today. That combination meant they got the absolute maximum out of their tyres at all times.
A show-stopping performance from the three drivers approaching the podium right now. It's been an interesting Grand Prix, that's for sure.
An interesting Grand Prix indeed, and one that, yeah, the overcut proved to be the superior decision there. Myself and Albon staying out for a few extra laps compared to the cars around us is what moved us into that 1-2 position. And I think this is only our second or third 1-2 of the season from what I remember. Because we've been struggling with reliability so much, we've had way less good results than we probably should have this season. We'd be absolutely walking away with this championship by now if we hadn't have had that unreliability. But, you know, such is life, and we move forward.
Let's have a quick look at how the drivers' standings have changed. Robinson increases their championship lead. Let's focus on the driver of the day. Natalie Pinkham, come on, who do you pick?
I think for driver of the day, I'd probably pick Lando Norris. He lived up to every inch of his reputation today, and I think he'll be going home, quite rightly, a bit proud of himself.
It's time to check out the constructors' standings. The current leaders continue to extend their lead at the top. After an event like that, who knows what the sport has in store for us next time out? Be sure to join us once again as we continue to bring you all the excitement of Formula One.
And what an exciting race it was. I actually really enjoyed that one from a driver's perspective. I feel like I was very, very consistent across those laps. We increased our championship lead to 29 points, and we were 0.008 of a second away from getting the fastest lap there. And if we had done that, that would have been 31 points we'd be leading this championship by. So yeah, a little bit disappointing there. Next up is going to be Monza, and I'll be very surprised if we have anything other than a double DNF there, given that we're running Ferrari engines. I doubt that they're going to want us to show them up at their home race. So yeah, it might be a tough weekend for myself and Alex Albon. But yeah, one thing is for sure, and that is that we are looking very comfortable for this championship win at the moment, unless someone can find an answer to my pace. But you know, with only a few races to go until we move into the part of the championship which I am immensely comfortable in, the final 4 races or so, I just don't see how this is going to go south for us. You know, famous last words, of course. But yeah, it's looking very good. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure you like and subscribe. And also follow my Twitch channel, because we've been doing a lot of F1 22 open lobbies over there. So if you're at all interested in playing any Formula 1 with me or anything like that, then yeah, head over to the Twitch channel and yeah, check that out, because yeah, I've been on a real push over there. We had some amazing streams recently, and I hope that those continue for a very long time. And let me know down in the comments as well if you're excited about that F1 23 trailer that dropped today. Not as I'm recording this, I haven't seen it yet, but I think this video should be coming out after the trailer's dropped. So yeah, let me know what your thoughts on that are. Would you like me to post a reaction to it or anything like that? I'd be more than happy to do that. I'm very, very excited for the new game and a new My Team career mode. But that is going to be it for this video, so please make sure you like and subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, check out my Twitch, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.